Yo, what's up, gamers? So, I walked into the break room today and Sharon from marketing has turned one side of the table into a tiny gothic promo setup. So I look at her and I'm like, Sharon, why does the break room look like Apple Arcade opened a vampire funeral home? She just smiles and says, it's not disappearing, it's creating urgency. Of course it is, because Castlevania Grimoire of Souls has already been removed from Apple Arcade, and on September 3rd, 2026, the service ends completely. No offline version, no permanent purchase, no second chance if you missed the download window. So before we get into this, do me a favor, hit like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below. Should subscription games get offline versions before they disappear, or is this just what happens when we rent access? So now I welcome you to the You Can Play, where we check what still works, what disappears, and whether a game is about to become a memory with a loading screen. So let's grab a mop, because I'm gonna need your help figuring out how a Castlevania game got a second life and still ended up trapped in the subscription fog. So what even is Castlevania Grimoire of Souls? It is a side-scrolling action RPG set in the Castlevania universe. You run through stages, fight monsters, upgrade characters, collect gear, build out progress, and play as classic Castlevania names like Alucard, Simon Belmont, Mario Renard, and Charlie Alene. It also had co-op support, daily missions, grimoires, equipment systems, and the kind of mobile progression menus that make Sharon ask if Dracula needs a customer retention funnel. This is not a giant new console Castlevania, it was not a full Symphony of the Night style resurrection, it was just a mobile Castlevania with side-scrolling action, RPG systems, and a very fancy Dracula cape. But do you want to know what the wild part is? Grimoire of Souls already has a coffin-shaped history. This game had already died once. It started off as a free-to-play mobile game. It soft launched in Canada back in 2019, but it never got the big worldwide launch most fans expected. But then in 2020, that version shut down and it became the first death. Then, Konami brought it back in 2021 through Apple Arcade, and that version made a lot more sense on paper because it had no ads, no in-app purchases, improved progression, updated characters, better weapon systems, unlockable music, classic Castlevania faces. It felt like the game crawled out of the coffin and said, actually, I have one more hallway full of skeletons. Reception for this was mixed because fans liked the classic characters, the side-scrolling action, the gothic presentation, the Castlevania flavor was there. But the grind, the stage structure, the mobile menus never fully disappeared. So for a lot of people, this was a welcome second chance. And now, after getting that second chance, the coffin lid is closing again. And that matters because this is not just a menu icon disappearing, everything tied to the service goes away with it, like story progression, character upgrades, equipment, grimoires, stages, collections, cloud saves, your Alucard build, the stages you actually finished, the grimoires you collected, and the upgrades you grinded for while pretending it was just a quick session. All of it evaporates with the service. There's no local capable version, no offline afterlife. This is Castlevania disappearing into the subscription fog, and Sharon is probably trying to call that premium mystery retention. Now this is where the episode gets bigger than just one game, because Grimoire of Souls was not something you bought as a permanent copy. It was part of Apple Arcade. That means access came through the subscription, and subscription libraries are not the same thing as ownership. Now to be fair, that is the deal. Apple Arcade gives you games without ads, without in-app purchases, and without buying each game separately. But the trade-off gets real when a game leaves. If there is no standalone release, no offline version, and no port, then the subscription version can disappear completely. And that is what makes this thing. This is Castlevania, a legendary name, a series built on castles, vampires, whips, music, and decades of fans replaying old games. But this one does not become a cartridge on a shelf, it does not become a downloadable classic, it becomes an app you had access to until you didn't. So here's my final verdict. If you already have Castlevania Grimoire of Souls installed, and it still launches for you, play what you can now. Finish what matters, record footage, take screenshots, capture your characters, your upgrades, your collection, anything you want to remember. But if you are a new player, you are probably already too late. The Apple Arcade removal happened on August 20th, so if it was never downloaded before then, the door is already closed. And if you're a Castlevania fan, this is the warning. Apple Arcade gave this game a second hallway, but after September 3rd, Grimoire of Souls does not become a classic you can revisit. It becomes a Castlevania locked behind a door with no castle key. Well, that's all I got. I gotta bounce before Sharon from Marketing rebrands game preservation failure as exclusive post-access nostalgia. And knowing how marketing works, she probably already has 3 slogans, a color palette, and a fake launch campaign for a game nobody can launch. So before I go, do me a favor, hit like, subscribe for more you can play, breakdowns, and let me know in the comments down below. Should subscription games get offline versions before they disappear? Or is this just what happens when we rent access? This is Scruffy the Janitor signing off. Peace out.